Hello everyone, good day and welcome to the very first episode of Sustainability Leadership Unveiled. This is the very first of many episodes we'll be premiering on this channel. Today we have a very special guest with us in the person of Mr. Edward Fagbohun, who is the Impact Reporting Manager for MTN Foundation. Mr. Edward has 6 years experience working in this role, currently heads the Impact Reporting team at MTN Nigeria Foundation. He's an alumnus of Cambridge University Business Sustainability and Management Program and holds every qualification that is necessary to have an opinion on this subject matter. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Edward.
Thank you, Agatha. It's my delight to be here too.
Yeah, you've been very patient with us. I just need to comment that on camera. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for agreeing to do this and making time for it.
Yeah, the pleasure is always mine.
Awesome. I feel like that introduction did not do enough justice to you. So do you want to even add the more salt on who you are and how you function in this role with MTN Foundation?
Okay, thank you very much. And I think you've actually done justice to it, but I'll just add a little to say that my role at MTN Foundation is actually, like you said, impact reporting. But beyond impact reporting, there are certain things that happens before impact reporting itself.
Right.
So I oversee the design of sustainability practices and also ensure that our projects aligns with the expected goals or outcomes. And we also ensure that at the MTN Foundation that all our initiatives are aligned with the United Nations SDG goals. So that's part of what I do, and it's something we keep doing every day. We're not perfect. We continue to improve on what we do, and so we believe that over time we'll get it right as we continue.
Yeah, thank you very much for that introduction, Mr. Edward. Because it actually leads very seamlessly into my very next question.
Okay.
Just to put a background, we were discussing about your career journey before we started rolling, and you said that you've touched on different things and everything has aligned kind of to what you are now and what you do. So can you walk us through the last 6 years and how you got into the impact reporting space up to the point of leading the team in impact reporting at MTN Foundation?
All right, thank you very much. So I think the journey started actually in 2012.
Okay.
So 2012, I was working as a data analyst.
Wow.
So I'd spent a lot of my years in the data space. You can actually get overwhelmed with data. The data analytics is quite interesting, and you can easily get lost in it. But along the line, I was privileged to join a course that was organized by the Pan-Atlantic University at that time. We were the pioneer set of the market and social research.
Okay.
So I went through that program, and that was where the love for impact reporting, particularly from a social point of view, started. And after that, I've been looking for opportunities to play that space. Unfortunately for me, in I think 2018, I had this opportunity at the MTN Foundation for. They were looking for an impact reporting manager, and I entered in for it. And one of the things that stood out, that they were looking for the right candidate was somebody who had an experience in a data space.
Wow.
And so that was, it was just the right thing for me at that time, and I got the job eventually. And we've been on that journey in the last 6 years, and it's quite interesting. Every day there's something new to learn. So that's the beauty of it. It's dynamic. You're learning everything every day. New things are coming in. The kind of project we work on are not always the same. Even if you have to do the same project you did last year again this year, there are going to be different dynamics to it. So that's how the journey has been so far.
Wow, interesting. Thank you very much. I especially appreciate that because I come from a different background than sustainability. I studied accounting. I'm a professional chartered accountant, and somehow, funny enough, everything I have learned in the past kind of culminates into what I do currently in the sustainability space. Okay, so moving on to our next question. I know you said, you got the opportunity 6 years ago, but what are some of the professional qualifications and certifications you've gotten in the space of 6 years that have prepared you for this position as it is now?
That's another very beautiful question to ask, but I'm not going to tell you that they are limited to those certifications. There are a lot of things you can do. It depends on what your love for what you want to do is all about. Or let me put it this way: it depends on what you're actually passionate about. So for me, for instance, when I got into that space about 6 years ago, I think the first thing that challenged me was getting to know more about impact reporting. So my first call was to go back to LBS. I went back to LBS to do a certificate course in sustainability management, and that also opened my eyes to a lot of things that I wasn't expecting, and it challenged me to do more, and year in, year out, I was hungry to learn more. I started enrolling for different courses. I went for GRI training. I went for several other courses in sustainability, and eventually one of the ones I was actually targeting was the sustainability program at Cambridge University, which I eventually did last year. And that was it for me, because I was able to get it at a different level. Going to see, having to mix with people from different continents, different fields, different career, and having to share experiences around sustainability and sustainability practices. And so that was it for me. So I keep learning every year. I keep learning year in, year out, because the sustainability space also for us in Nigeria is, I wouldn't say it's pretty new, but I would say we've not gone far like the people in Europe and other parts of the world. But and so for that reason, you should continue to improve on yourself, get all kinds of necessary skills that you need in order for you to be relevant at what you do. So that for me is what I've been doing. Also,
I like that you've mentioned that continuous improvement is a key point for you. I know there's not except you're living under a rock, there's no one that will say they do not know what MTN Foundation does. But I need you to run me through a brief overview of what happens at MTN Foundation on a daily basis, your mission, your vision, and the role you play, especially as impact reporting and sustainability manager.
All right, good. So a lot happens on a daily basis. So I'll start by just explaining, first of all, how the MTN Foundation came about. So the MTN Foundation was actually established in 2004, and this year we're 20 years.
Wow.
Yes. And the purpose of establishing it is for it to be that vehicle through which the MTN business gives back to the Nigerian society. So, and over the years, things have evolved. So we have, currently we have two broad portfolios where we operate. We have the national priority portfolio where we focus on infrastructure projects like upgrade of primary healthcare centers across the country. We have providing potable water supply for communities and setting up ICT laboratories and science laboratories in public secondary schools across the country, and numerous projects, Then, on the other hand, we have the youth development portfolio where we focus more on our scholarships program, and we focus more on capacity building and learning for young people. And we also have other programs like the Yellowpreneur, which is focused mainly on providing skills and building capacity of women who are entrepreneurs. So for me, on a typical day, on a day-to-day basis at MTN Foundation, you're talking about how you get involved in the execution of projects, from conceptualization of projects to design of the monitoring and evaluation processes, sustainability principles. You talk about engagement with stakeholders, both internally and externally. You talk about project monitoring, you talk about project evaluation, you talk about impact assessment of what we've done, because the idea is that having implemented certain projects, you want to be sure that you have actually addressed the needs that you identified ab initio. So these are some of the things we do on a daily basis. So it's a continuous thing, and it's quite interesting, and I always enjoy doing what I do.
I can see that you enjoy it, because if we leave you can talk about this for the next 3 hours. So I get excited when I see people are passionate about what they do. So I'm actually curious, what is the process between this is an idea we want to push, and we're already doing it. For example, you spoke about training women for entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
What's the process like? The board approves, they pass it down to you, or you come up with the ideas. I think what we can do for this quarter or for this year is go to this village and provide bowl water. What's the process like?
So let me put it this way. I mentioned earlier on that we operate or we have two portfolios through which we drive our projects or our initiatives, the National Priority and Youth Development. So based on the focus of each of these portfolios, we're able to identify the needs in society. So let me give an example. One of the things that led us into doing something for women, specifically for women, the Yellowpreneur, was because over the years we found out that through our scholarship, for instance, we have fewer women who are getting on board that scholarship. And the reason is because the scholarship is targeted mainly at STEM students in public tertiary institutions across the country. And we discovered that for cultural reasons or religious reasons or several other reasons, you don't find a lot of women who are studying STEM courses. And so for some other programs that we also do, like the scholarship we also have for students who are studying music at the Mission School, so what we decided to do is that let's design a program that is targeted mainly at women. And we thought that a good program to do would be women who are actually into businesses, who are entrepreneurs, and to build capacity for them, to help them to expand their businesses. And beyond that, we also provided them with grants and loans too. There's a percentage of the money that's like grant, and there's also a percentage of it that is a loan, because usually, the practice is that a lot of people who get grants don't even put them into good use. So that was why the idea of a part of it should be a loan and a part of it should be a grant. So the type of project we actually get into is not just based on feelings. It's actually driven by data, it's driven by a lot of things. So sometimes we want to see what is the statistics like from the National Bureau of Statistics or from other bodies where you can see certain things that clearly tells you that there is a gap in this area, there's a need in this area. And one of the reasons, for instance, why we are into revitalizing primary healthcare centers is because we all know that a lot of our primary healthcare centers in Nigeria are in very bad state. We have over 30,000 primary healthcare centers, and I'm not sure if up to 25% of them are functional. And so this year, for instance, at the MTN Foundation, we're revitalizing 52 primary healthcare centers across the country. We're providing them not just with equipment, with medical equipment and consumables, but we're also providing water for the primary care centers and alternative power for the primary care centers as well. So those are some of the things that informs the kind of projects that we do at the MTN.
Wow, thank you very much for that feedback. So going to impact reporting, right? I know that every job role has its hazard. Well, maybe not hazard, but challenges. What are some of the challenges that you faced so far? So some of the challenges are not solvable because they're just there, and some they have solutions. So what are the challenges that you currently face in your role as an impact reporting manager?
Okay. So I remember in 2012 when I said I went for the market research program at the Pan-Atlantic University. And one of the things we were made to understand is that we have this apathy in this part of the world to providing feedback. So we had a lot of case studies which we treated, and we saw how people were able to get feedback, particularly FMCGs in Europe. They'll go get feedback from people on how to improve on their products or their services and all of that. But in this part of the world, you find out that it's a big challenge. If you even get a friend or a colleague who says, I'm doing a master's program and I want to get X number of people to be able to fill a survey for me. It's a big challenge.
I know about that. I know about it.
Begging people, and all of that. So, you can't really measure impacts without getting feedback from people. And it's a big challenge. So I think that's one of the biggest things I've encountered. I remember, I think in 2019, prior to the pandemic, we came up with an idea and said, okay, because we have projects that are across the country, and we can't be at these locations from time to time and get feedback from people, whatever the challenges are. And so we came up with a short code, like a feedback mechanism, where all you just need to do is to send feedback to a short code called 779, and you tell us what the challenges are in those project locations and all of that. Initially, it was interesting, it was encouraging, but over time, the thing has, the numbers are not as what you would expect from people, And when you also deploy surveys, sometimes people are reluctant. You go to a particular place, you want to get feedback about the impact of what you've done, and so that at least, if for one reason or the other that the program rather, or the project or initiative is not addressing the need, then you can retweak, you can improve on it. But it's a big challenge. So this for me is one thing, and I think it's a Nigerian thing. Anyway.
I agree.
And I hope that we that's why I deliberately make sure that whenever I get anyone who says, I need to fill a survey, I respond to it, because I know that my feedback or my comment or whatever is going to help that person a great deal.
I totally 100% agree with you. And the reason why I agree is that sometime last year we're doing a survey to understand the ESG impact of organizations. And we're not talking about small businesses, we're talking about corporations. Even getting people that are knowledgeable about the importance of data to participate in this survey was difficult. We'll call or say we'll get back to you. Some people were averse to even filling surveys. So I understand that. I don't know if it's a Nigerian thing or an African thing, but we're so averse to transparency.
Exactly.
We're so averse to transparency. So that's a learning point for everyone. Data is important. Even the big countries or the big places that you see and you admire, the reason why they improve yearly or improve annually is because of data. They have data to work with. In Africa, we have a big problem with data availability. So please, everyone, let's work on that. Okay, so moving on to the technical part of impact reporting. Impact reporting framework or management framework. For those that are knowledgeable of the space, what kind of frameworks do you apply in MTN Foundation to measure and report impact?
Okay, there are several frameworks you can adopt or you can choose to use in reporting impact. But one very simple one that we use, which is very common and everyone will know about, is the theory of change. So it's a very simple, there's a simple definition that I like about it. It's called the roadmap. So the theory of change actually shows you the roadmap of where you are going to. What is the change you want to see eventually, and along the line you're able to circle back to say, okay, what are the things I want to see, what are the things I want to measure, how do I want to go about measuring these things and all of that. So I think that's one model that has really worked for us, and for every of our projects, that is something we always make use of. But there are lots of other models that people can adapt or adopt. But I think that's a very simple one for anyone, and it is one that is used mostly in the development space for measuring impact.
Yeah, I agree with you. The theory of change is like a background and basic framework that applies across board and is very easy to understand. Okay, so we spoke about challenges of your job role earlier. I want us to talk about the upsides, the perks. For example, for me, I'm very passionate about sustainability. So one thing I like is seeing change happen in real time. That's seeing you impact people's lives, their lives changing for the better because of the work you're doing. So for you as an impact reporting and sustainability manager, what are the perks of your role? What are those things that you see and you're like, oh my God, I chose the right career path?
Okay, I tell people that I enjoy my work. And the reason why I say that is because I can see the results in the faces of people. So I travel a lot. I go to communities where I talk to people, I engage with people, and they're excited about the good things that they see. So it's not a mirage. It's something you can relate with. So for me, the excitement about what we do is that we're able to see the result. We're able to see the fact that what we're doing is impacting the lives of people, is changing the lives of people, be it the scholarship you provide to a child who ordinarily could have dropped out of school, be it the access you give to women to be able to get funding to expand their business, or capacity building for young Nigerians who are doing one thing or the other, but they need a little push, a little knowledge, a little skill here and there. And you are seeing that as a result of that, You are seeing the expansion in their businesses. You are seeing some of them are doing much more better than what they could have been doing, So a lot of results we see here and there every day. We can see them, we can feel them.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me excited about what I do, and I love what I'm doing. Because really, that's why you find out that even for me, a lot of people, when they have worked all their lives and they have left paid job, they want to do something, they want to give back. I'm already doing that as my own paid job.
That's why I love it so much. Okay, so let's move to young people that are currently watching this episode and thinking, oh, I love what this man does, and someday soon I would like to see myself doing exactly that. What advice would you give to young people in the sustainability space, or even people that are trying to pivot into sustainability, to say, okay, these are the steps you can take to find yourself in this position?
All right, good question. And I'll just answer it this way. Sustainability cuts across all sectors. So whether you are into the accounting space, you are in marketing, you are a teacher, you are a tailor, you are whatever, just think sustainability. Sustainability it's everywhere. So it's not as if it's one specialized thing that you have to leave what you are doing to come into the sustainability space. You can actually practice sustainability in whatever sector you find yourself. And it's about preservation. It's about leaving our world a better place, a saner place, a good place, And that's why you find out that increasingly a lot of organizations are beginning to adopt the ESG. They are beginning to look at pivoting into something that has to do with sustainability, and they've seen that there is value in it.
Right.
Statistics has also shown us that in Europe, for instance, and even in America, young people are more excited to work with organizations that have sustainability as the driver of what they do. So one thing you need to do as a young person is you must be patient. You must be ready to learn, because you have to learn, you have to unlearn certain things, and you need to relearn, and you need to continuously also improve on yourself and improve on the things that you need to know about it. This sustainability space is wide.
It is.
It's a very wide space.
It is.
So you also need to ask yourself, what particular area do I want to focus on? Because you can't do everything. There is different aspects of it: sustainable financing, sustainable
fashion,
anything.
Yeah.
So you need to ask yourself, in which of these areas do I want to develop capacity? And you need to focus on that area, and don't be in a hurry to want to just get the result. It's going to take a while. It's going to take some time, but you'll be glad that you waited, you were patient, and you'll be happy at the end of the day that yes, you are getting the result that you desired at the beginning.
I actually like that, and I feel like that advice was for me as well. Yeah, so there's something about going into a field that you're very excited about and you want to start seeing results immediately.
Yes.
There's a factor of time that has to play through to see yourself in that position that you would like to be. So thank you very much for that advice, Mr. Edward. Okay, so let's move into emerging trends in sustainability.
Okay.
You've been in the space for at most 6 years now, and you've seen how the tides have changed in those 6 years, from sustainability being something you were passionate about to it being like a public trend. Now everyone is interested in sustainability. There's a wave of ESG and sustainability that is currently sweeping through Africa. It has become such a popular buzzword now. So what are the emerging trends that you imagine that you'll see in the next 5 years? What would the conversations on sustainability be around in 5 years?
Okay, already things are happening in the space.
They are.
Take for instance in Nigeria, for now we have the drive for adoption of the IFRS standards.
Yeah.
And for organizations to begin to put together a better narrative about their businesses, not just about the financials, but even the sustainability aspect of it. And so that's why you see that there's a deliberate and push to get organizations, to get businesses to adopt those standards, so that people can actually begin to be responsible and disclose their sustainability practices, and also disclose the climate actions, as well. We can't shy away from the fact that we live in a world today that things are changing, taking a twist that a lot of people don't expect.
Correct.
Due to the impact on the environment. And so there's a lot of emphasis on the environment. And this is going to continue even into the next 5 years, particularly for us in Africa. Another thing I would say that is a trend that we need to pay attention to is supply chain. Is the supply chain. There's a lot of things happening in that space, and people need to pay attention to it. And beyond that, several other things I think are happening, but we just need to keep our ears to the ground and continue to follow what is going on. And I think here in Africa, the first thing is for us to even embrace sustainability as a practice, for businesses to embrace sustainability as a practice. I think with that, we're going to get better with a lot of things.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that response, Mr. Edward. So going to a personal question now. If you could change anything about the course of your career so far, what would it be?
I don't think I want to change anything.
Are you sure? I can list like 3 things I want to change personally.
For me, I think I'm comfortable with what I'm doing currently.
Yeah.
Yes, I must say that I don't think I want to change anything for now. And the sustainability space for me is even it's an emerging space in Africa. I'm not talking about other parts of the world right now. Quite a number of organizations are just beginning to adopt a lot of things within that space. And so for me, I think there's a lot to still do in that space. So for a long time, I think I'll still be in this space and be enjoying myself and also continue to learn.
I actually absolutely love that. Yeah. Another personal question.
Okay.
If you were not in the impact reporting and sustainability space, what do you imagine you'd be doing at this point?
Okay, so let me shock you. My first degree was in accounting.
I knew there was a reason why we're connected. I knew it.
So my first degree was in accounting. I practiced accounting for a while. Then before I left, I took up another degree in business management and went into data and analytics, for a while before I switched into the development space where I am currently. And so if I'm not doing what I'm doing right now, I think the other thing I might do is to go back to my former life, which is data and analytics. But the interesting thing about it is that there's an infusion, or there's a form of connection between data analytics and impact reporting. You can't do impact reporting without understanding data and analytics. So for me, it's just a good combination.
So if you pack up your sustainability bags now, you're saying I'm not more interested in this, you would directly go into data analysis.
I'll go back to data analysis.
I love it for you. So my last question is about the argument I hear often about entrepreneurship and a 9-to-5. Do you believe that with an entrepreneurship you can get your way faster to wealth than a 9-to-5? What's your opinion on that?
Okay, I think it's a very tricky one. And I'm being careful here, but I'd like to say this is my personal opinion. Whether you do entrepreneurship or you do a 9-to-5, all of us can be entrepreneurs and all of us can do a 9-to-5. But I just want people to understand something, that doing a 9-to-5 is what I would call entrepreneurship, because you are actually learning. So you don't have to do a 9-to-5 or rather, you don't have to do a 9-to-5 for the rest of your life. You can decide at some point in time that I'm going to stop and I'm going to cross over into entrepreneurship. But this is what I want us to even learn from. Let's look at the model of the typical Igbo boy from the southeast. He doesn't just wake up one day and say, because I have the money, my father has the resources, I'll just go and start a business. No, he goes through apprenticeship. And that can be likened to a 9-to-5. He resumes at his master's place of work or his business at a particular time and closes at a particular time. But you see, beyond us doing the maybe 9-to-5 thingy, the guy is learning the art of the business, is learning a lot of other things. And at the end of the day, when he starts his own business and he has graduated from his apprenticeship, he becomes an entrepreneur on his own who is able to manage his business better. So I think the thing people fail to understand is that when they are doing a 9-to-5, they think that they are doing somebody a favor. But you don't realize that you are also doing yourself a favor by doing the job well. Because if you learn the art of running somebody's business well, then you would be able to run your own business well. So a lot of us go to a 9-to-5 job and think that it's just their job. Why in actual sense, you should learn something from it. except the 9 to 5 you are doing doesn't add value to your long-term dream or long-term goal, then I'll advise you to leave and get something else to do. But don't just be in a hurry to want to jump out of a 9 to 5 and jump into entrepreneurship when you're not prepared for the world of entrepreneurship. Because I've also seen people who have jumped there and jumped back into 9 to 5. Yeah. So it's a very, very tricky thing to get into.
Yeah, I genuinely like that you've shared that, because it also applies to my life. There's this thing about being very eager to make your impact in the world and put your footprint in the sand, but going through process and making sure you're well cooked for the position you are aiming at.
Exactly.
Because you do not want to come out and you're half done, to be honest.
Sure.
So thank you very much for that advice. As a closing thought, I want you to give your opinion on the current protests, because as we're recording this conversation, there's currently a protest going on in Nigeria about good governance and good leadership. I want you to lend your voice to that conversation in the sense that, what would you like to see change in Nigeria? Because sustainability must start from home, to be honest. If you're not comfortable at where you're living, you won't be able to function at your job role. So I want you to lend your voice to that conversation, because it's all sustainability. It's all a way of living, making sure you're comfortable in life.
Well, I think it's what I would just say is that for every one of us, we need to understand that things cannot continue to be the way they are. So, and that's why we need to begin to put on our sustainability cap. Whether as government, whether as citizens, everyone needs to be responsible. So it's not just about pointing fingers at government. The question is, when you point one finger, 4 is also pointing at you. So how well are we also helping to build a better society? Are you using the fact that we are all in a crisis right now and also ripping off your own friend, your brothers and sisters? So I think it's a very convoluted thing, and until we begin to see things from a different perspective, we seem to have been going one way all through for several years. But we need to begin to look at sustainable government too, or governance, let me put it that way, and as citizens too, begin to look at how we do things in a more sustainable manner. So that's what I would just say about it.
I 100% agree with you, Mr. Edward, and it's been a total delight having you on this show today. Thank you so much for lending your voice to the cause, and also sharing of your experience and insight. Thank you so much, and we look forward to having you on this platform again, but having gone up and upper and higher in your career. Thank you so much, and thank you for the work you're doing at MTN Foundation. Thank you for the value you bring to them as well. We appreciate you for your presence today. And that's it on this episode of Sustainability Leadership Unveiled. Watch out for our next guest next month. Until then, stay safe and stay green. Thank you.